Gold is going to 10,000 an ounce, probably higher, and there are three reasons. Increased global demand, record money printing by Uncle Sam, and the possibility that Fort Knox is completely empty. Now, gold is the oldest currency metal in the world. It has been used to transact commerce for thousands of years. Only in the last 2 centuries have paper currencies been widely used, and for a while they weren't great. Paper is easier to carry and use, and since it was printed by the government, backed by real physical gold, people trusted it. But that trust has quickly eroded. Faith in the US dollar and other fiat currencies is fading by the day. Ever since Nixon took us off the gold standard in 1971, paper currency has been backed by nothing but the full faith and credit of the US government. The convertibility of US dollars to gold ended with a stroke of his pen, and thus the great devaluation of the dollar began. Without needing physical gold to back dollars, Uncle Sam and his pals at the Federal Reserve have been free to print greenbacks without restriction, and the effects have been catastrophic. The purchasing power of the dollar has fallen 97% since. The devaluation of our money is so common, they've convinced us it's normal. They even gave it a cute name, inflation. But it's not common and it's not normal, it is theft. Gold, on the other hand, is real money. The value of an ounce of gold since 1971 has surged by 10,000%. At least that's what we think. But this is an illusion. Gold is being priced in dollars. So gold didn't necessarily gain all this value. It just takes more dollars to buy it since each dollar has steadily declined. And this trend is not going to change. The rise in gold prices relative to US dollars will not only continue, it will accelerate. And here's why. This is the US federal budget for 2024. $4.9 trillion came in, $6.9 trillion went out, so the deficit was $2 trillion. That's how much the government printed and borrowed just to make ends meet, and that's with a good economy, with strong GDP growth, without a pandemic or a major natural disaster. Yet we are $38 trillion in debt, and that number will continue to climb. And as it does, the government will be forced to do what it does, print more and more money to pay their bills. And every time they fire up that printing press, the value of your dollars goes down since there is now more money in the system chasing the same number of goods and services. And adding to this obvious massive tailwind for rising gold prices is a global increase in demand for metals. Central banks are buying them up by the metric ton. China purchased more than 15 tons of gold in September alone. And China hates us. They hate the US dollar being used as the world's reserve currency, and they are actively pursuing a global alternative to the petrodollar. And they are aggressively stockpiling gold to do it. The truth is, we have no idea how much gold China has. Its central bank has notoriously underreported its purchases for years. The country's official gold holdings, 2,304 tons. But Goldman Sachs believes the real number is many times higher. Now in America, we have the opposite problem. Our gold reserves are likely much lower than what is reported, and we have no idea. Because the vaults at Fort Knox, where the Treasury Department holds federal gold reserves, have not been audited or inspected since 1974. Many people think it's empty, that our gold was secretly sold to foreign entities over the years. Some claim the gold is there, but it's counterfeit, just lead bars with a thin gold plating. Treasury Secretary Bissett says there's a report that confirms that the gold is indeed there at Fort Knox. He says they audit the gold every year, but they don't. See, this is the report Bissett was referring to, and I actually read it. What they audit are the schedules of U.S. gold reserves. Folks, this is the schedule. A single line item stating the value of gold reserves. Yep, there it is. Looks good. That's the number. See you guys next year. The whole report is only 12 pages long, and half of those are empty. The gold has not been weighed, counted, and tested since 1972, and even that inspection was done internally. The last independent audit was in 1953. J.M. Bullion, one of the country's largest precious metals dealers, estimates that it would take 18 months to do a full and complete audit of Fort Knox. And given the federal government's reputation for speed and efficiency, it would probably end up taking twice that. Folks, we have no idea what is in Fort Knox, but here's the situation. China, along with most other developed nations, are building up gold reserves in order to backstop their currency and get away from the US dollar. And as less trade is conducted in dollars, demand will weaken and hurt its value. We also have a government that has made so many poor decisions over the last 50 years that it needs to print $2 trillion a year just to keep the lights on. And if Fort Knox ever is audited, if we learn that it's empty and there's far less supply than we thought, the price of gold will soar, the dollar will plummet, and that price per ounce will go up by an order of magnitude. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next update.